Today, we're going to unravel a legal mystery that seems simple on the surface, but trust me, it gets complicated fast. Welcome to the case of the contested car parts.
So picture this. You get a new car and you start making it your own, right? Maybe you put in a killer sound system, some cool new wheels, but what happens if you're still paying that car off? Are those upgrades actually yours? Well, let's dig in.
And to really get our heads around this, we're going to follow the story of one guy who found himself right in the middle of this exact legal puzzle. So let's get into Section 1, Dougal's Dilemma.
Okay, so this is Dougal. He's super happy, just got himself a new car. But here's the thing, he didn't buy it outright. He's on a hire purchase agreement, which basically means he's paying it off over time. Until he makes that very last payment, a finance company technically owns the car. Now remember that detail, it's going to be a big deal later.
And Dougal, like most of us would, he starts to personalize his new car. The factory wheels? Gone. He swaps them for some flashy mag wheels and even sells the old set. He puts in a new CD system, hangs some fluffy dice from the rearview mirror, and for good measure, sticks a little Garfield doll on the back window. All seems pretty normal, doesn't it?
Well, this is where our story takes a turn. See, Dougal hits a rough patch, falls behind on his payments, and the hire purchase company shows up to repossess the car. And this, right here, is where our real mystery kicks off.
So the car's gone. But what about all that stuff he added? The mag wheels, the CD player, the dice, even poor Garfield. Does Dougal get to keep them, or do they belong to the finance company now? That is the million-dollar question we're here to answer.
To start solving this, our first stop has to be the most obvious one, the fine print. Let's move on to Section 2 and look for the contract clue.
Now, inside most of these hire purchase agreements, you'll find something called an accessories clause. It's a pretty standard bit of legalese that says, in short, anything you attach to the car becomes the property of the finance company. Yep, it's a really powerful little clause put there specifically to avoid this exact kind of headache.
So, if Dougal's contract has this clause, then our detective work gets a whole lot easier. The company can just point to that sentence and say, sorry, those upgrades are ours now. It's a clear rule they both agreed to from the start.
And here's how it would probably shake out. The mag wheels and the CD system, since they're physically part of the car now, they would almost definitely be considered the company's property. But even with that clause, there's a good argument that the stuff that's just kind of hanging there, like the fluffy dice or the suction-cupped Garfield, yeah, Dougal would most likely get to keep those.
Okay, but what if there's no accessories clause? What if the contract doesn't say a word about it? Well, that's when we have to put on our real detective hats. Let's jump into Section 3, the integration test.
Right. So without a specific clause to tell us what to do, we have to fall back on some much older legal ideas called common law. Think of these as a set of tests and principles that judges have been using for, centuries to sort out ownership squabbles just like this one.
The biggest and most important of these tests is called the injurious removal test. It sounds fancy, but the idea is actually super simple. It just asks, can you take the new part off without wrecking either the part itself or the car it's attached to? If the answer is no, then the law starts to see that part as a permanent fixture of the car.
So think about it. A permanent attachment means you had to drill holes, maybe cut into the dashboard. You're actually changing the car to make the new thing fit. An impermanent attachment, that's just hanging something with a string or sticking it on with a suction cup. You can untie the fluffy dice in a second. You can pop Garfield right off the window. No harm, no foul.
But there's another really important layer here, and that's intention. The law also wants to know what Dougal was thinking. And this is our biggest clue right here. When he sold the original wheels, he wasn't just trying on new rims for a weekend. His actions showed that he intended for the mag wheels to be the car's new, permanent wheels. It's a classic case of actions speaking louder than words.
Okay, we've gathered our evidence, we've looked at the contract, we've applied the injurious removal test, and we've uncovered the crucial clue of intention. It is time to deliver the verdict. On to Section 4, verdict on the accessories.
So let's run down the list one by one. The mag wheels, they're going to the company. Why? Because Dougal's intention to make them permanent was crystal clear when he sold the originals. The CD system, assuming he had to drill it into the dash, it fails that injurious removal test. It goes to the company too. But the fluffy dice and the Garfield doll, they're attached so temporarily they come off without any damage. Those belong to Dougal.
So, Dougal's case is closed. But what's the big lesson here for the rest of us? Let's wrap this all up in our final section, the final takeaway.
It really boils down to this simple three-step process. First, and I can't say this enough, check the contract. That accessories clause is usually the final word. If the contract is silent, then second, look at how the thing is attached. Is it permanent or temporary? And third, think about the intention. Was this thing meant to become a core part of the main item?
At the end of the day, it all comes down to one core idea. Ownership isn't just about who bought the accessory. It's about how deeply and permanently that accessory has become part of the main item. The more integrated it is, the more likely it is to stay with the main item if it gets taken away.
And that brings us to one last little brain teaser for you. Let's say you get a car on hire purchase, and you give it an amazing custom paint job. If the car gets repossessed, who owns the paint? I'll let you think about that one.